Since the attack of the Islamic regime in Iran on Israel, I personally, as well as ILTV and many Iranians, Israelis, and Jews globally, have been under cyber attack by the regime in Iran. Within 24 hours of the ballistic missiles being fired at Israel, Google informed me that state-backed attackers have been targeting my account. Then they sent messages to Iranian activists from anonymous numbers pretending to be me. And they even reported me as a deceased person to try to gain access to my social media accounts. The craziest part is the same thing has happened to many Iranian and pro-Israel activists in at least 3 different continents within the same 48-hour period. They're targeting dissidents and attempting to bribe Israeli, British, and American citizens into committing acts of treason for money. They're working with mafia groups to carry out kidnappings and targeted killings, and they're actively engaging in disinformation campaigns across the internet. The regime uses social media as a tool for disinformation and has an entire cyber unit dedicated towards online disinformation. That's one of the reasons there's such a disparity in the conversation about Israel on social media and what people think in real life. Now, I'm no stranger to the attacks of the regime in Iran. As an activist, I've been repeatedly targeted by the regime, who have labeled me a Mossad spy in their state newspapers, who have published photos of me with targets on my face, and who have even invited me to conferences in Europe that didn't exist in order to kidnap or worse. But the reason I speak about this today is because the sudden intensity of attacks from the regime is because the regime is weak, weaker than ever before. They know the vast majority of Iranians inside Iran hate the regime, which is why after the missiles they fired at Israel, they deployed IRGC troops to suppress their own population in case they took to the streets to protest. Instead, Iranians chanted death to the dictator from their own balconies in Iran. Unfortunately, the Islamic regime is highly intelligent and as such dangerous. But nothing scares them like unity between Israelis and Iranians, a historic unity that is seeing a beautiful resurgence today and will continue after the Islamic regime in Iran falls. Now is the time for us to stand together as a community against terrorism, against the proxies of the Islamic regime, and against the thuggish authoritarian tactics of the IRGC itself. Khamenei, you cannot silence the will of the Israeli and Iranian people to live in freedom. We will defeat you, and we will overcome.